In Brazil, representatives of numerous organizations rejected in the Senate initiative by President Jair Bolsonaro to weaken the electoral system. In Peru, farmers' unions speak out against justice politicization by the Public Prosecutor's Office and the coup campaign promoted by the nation's Congress. OPEC Plus announces an increase of 100,000 barrels per day in crude oil production in order to stabilize the oil market. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Brazil, representatives of numerous organizations rejected in the Senate initiative by President Jair Bolsonaro to weaken the electoral system. Representatives of labor, social, and popular organizations have joined efforts to prevent the actions carried out by the candidate for re-election by the extreme right to prevent a proper electoral process. Raimundo Bonfim, coordinator of the popular movement, warned about a possible defiant challenge to the highest electoral body, which could take place in Sao Paulo next August 11th, when the incumbent will be reading a letter in defense of the rule of law addressed to all Brazilians. The representatives of the different organizations attending the meeting say that unity will be the great defense of democracy and ratify that they will remain in the streets to guarantee the October 2nd process. Sergio Nombre, representative of the Central Workers Union, said the people will do the job that the legislative power has failed to do to defend the nation.
We are quite ashamed of the grotesque incident with our president undermining the Brazilian electoral system and the country's electoral process. In that meeting with the ambassador, he did that because he knows that he is going to lose the elections on October 2nd and that this country is going to change its course. I am very happy that the Trade Union Center entrusted me to speak on behalf of all the Brazilian trade unions which have come together to defend democracy.
Brazil's Superior Electoral Court signed this Tuesday an agreement with the Electoral Observation Mission of the Inter-American Union of Electoral Organizations for the agency to monitor the October elections this year. The president of the court, Minister Luis Edson Fachin, signed the agreement for the TSE and the Vice President Alexander de Moraes, who will command the TSE during the elections. The signing of these agreements with international bodies comes amid frequent attacks by President Jair Bolsonaro and his supporters on electronic voting machines and the electoral process with no evidence or base. The agreement's objectives include observing compliance with national electoral norms, collaborating for social control in the different stages of the process, and verifying the impartiality and the effectiveness of the organization, direction, supervision, administration, and execution of voting. In Brazil, former President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva maintains the lead in polls for presidential elections. According to a Quest poll, points to former President Lula ahead in the race for the Planalto Palace with 44% of voting intentions compared to 32% for the head of state Jair Bolsonaro. Therefore, Lula appears with a 12% lead over the current President Jair Bolsonaro. In relation to the previous round of the survey, the former president was 1 point down and the president point up. However, the PT's lead over Bolsonaro's fell 5 percentage points in 3 months. Likewise, Ciro Gomes remained third place with 5%. UN Secretary General Antonio Gutteres addressed the situation that has arisen in Guatemala following the arrest of journalist Jose Ruben Zamora, who has expressed his concern about the persecution of the press and prosecutors in that country. Gutteres said the Guatemalan administration is persecuting journalists and justice officials, and although he did not make any specific reference, it is inferred that he is talking about the actions taken by the public ministry against judges and prosecutors. Gutteres said that journalist Jose Ruben Zamora has played a key role in exposing corruption cases in the country. Zamora, president and founder of El Periódico, was arrested last Friday on charges of alleged money laundering. According to human rights organizations in Guatemala, the government of President Alejandro Giammattei has initiated a hunt against journalists and prosecutors in order to silence denunciations of corruption scandals. Guatemalan authorities dismantled on Tuesday one of the major structures of illegal trafficking of people to the United States after capturing 19 people. At the head of the prosecutor's office against human trafficking, Eduardo Campo, the dismantled group was systematically dedicated to the recruitment, transfer, and accommodation within the national territory of Guatemalan migrants to then smuggle them illegally to the United States. Campo assured that the members of the gang charged about $20,000 to each person to take them irregularly to the U.S. territory. On June 27, 53 migrants were found dead in Australia in San Antonio, Texas, among them 21 Guatemalans as well as Mexicans and Hondurans after being abandoned in high temperatures in the United States. In El Salvador, national authorities and members of civil protections have been deployed since Tuesday to carry out prevention work in areas affected by heavy rains, wind gusts and thunderstorms. In the Del Rio Gonzalez community located in San Salvador, the country's capital, teams have provided information about the tropical wave affecting the territory. As part of the operation, they undertook debris removal and cleanup of streets and drainage of sewers. During the last few days, and especially Tuesday, the late afternoon, there were heavy rains and gusts of winds across the Salvadoran territory, precipitating the end of the celebrations of the festivities known as Fiestas Agostinas. Ecuador's National Police confirmed on Wednesday the discovery of 6 bodies in a shallow unmarked grave in the city of Guayaquil. According to the police, the human remains were found in an area known as Punta Recha, located in the TeleSUR sector, with the help of trained dogs as part of an operation carried out after receiving a missing persons report. The bodies were sent to the local morgue for further examination. According to the authorities, this incident added to the waves of crimes and violence in the region due to dispute for the control of drug trafficking in the port of Guayaquil, one of the main exit points for cocaine produced in South America to Europe and the United States. Let us take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back From the South. In Peru, farmers' unions reject the politicization of justice by the public prosecutor's office and the coup campaign promoted by the National Congress. During a press conference, members of the popular sectors, farmers, and the farmers of Peru expressed their rejection of the politicization of justice by the public ministry as well as the coup campaign of the Congress of the Republic. These sectors demand the reactivation of agriculture, that the legislative platform be attended to, which is summarized in the law of the Second Agrarian Reform of Coordination, the law of registration of the native peoples, a law of amnesty. Therefore, they ask that the government attend to the demands of the country and give answers to solve the current situation that the country is going through. In Peru, the head of the president's cabinet, Aníbal Torres, resigned, arguing personal issues. In a letter addressed to President Castillo and made public Wednesday morning, Torres, besides thanking Castillo for having trusted him to serve him as president, to serve the nation and the downtrodden, says that he needs to step down and go back to what he loves the most, which is law research. Torres ends the letter wishing President Castillo every success in his administration. Last February 8th, Torres had been sworn in as the 4th ministerial cabinet chief. But prior to that, since July 30, 2021, he had been Minister of Justice. Torres is a lawyer and a university professor at the major National University of San Carlos. On Tuesday, there was a historic voting in Kansas, one of the most conservative states in the United States, where people overwhelmingly voted in favor of keeping abortion legal. With more than 90% of the votes counted, there's no room for doubt. 60% of the people voted yes during the primaries to choose candidates for each party. Therefore, the state has rejected an initiative by the Republican majority in Parliament which sought to add an amendment to the Constitution, thus clearing the way for legislators to severely restrict reproductive rights. Because of its great symbolic importance, the results of the consultation has sent shockwaves throughout the country, which is split down the middle on this highly controversial issue. The U.S. State Department warned U.S. citizens traveling overseas of possible retaliation by al-Qaeda and its supporters after the organization's leader was killed in a U.S. missile strike. In a worldwide caution update, the department said it believed there is a higher potential for anti-U.S. violence given the death of Ayman al-Zawahiri. It also stated that information suggested that terrorist organizations continue to plan terrorist attacks against U.S. interests in multiple regions across the globe. According to National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby, Zawahiri was killed in Kabul, the Afghan capital, when he stepped out onto the balcony of his residence and a drone fired Hellfire missiles. According to Statistics Canada data, the rate of police-reported sexual assault in the country has reached its highest level since 1996. There were more than 34,000 reports of sexual assault countrywide in 2021, an 18% increase from 2020. According to the newly released numbers, while reports decreased in 2020, the rate of sexual assault has otherwise steadily increased for 5 years. Despite an increase in public discussion of issues around sexual violence, the organization said the number of sexual assaults reported to police is still likely to be a significant underestimate. The agency stated that sexual assaults accounted for a third of an overall 5% increase in reports of violent crimes, with homicides, criminal harassment, hate crimes, and firearm offenses. In Spain, the Council of Ministers has approved the first package of austerity measures to reduce energy consumption. Ecological Transition Minister Teresa Rivera said the measures seek to comply with the 7% cut in gas consumption. Likewise, the official state gazette published Tuesday the Royal Decree of Energy-Saving and Efficiency Measures, which includes the obligation in public buildings to make an efficient use of air conditioning and heating. Sources from the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Tourism say the sanctions to be applied will be those contained in the regulation of thermal installations in buildings. And in turn, the government will impose fines of up to 60,000 euros for minor infractions and up to 100 million euros for failure to comply with the energy-saving plan. And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries announced an increase in oil production of 100,000 barrels per day. The increase in production was reported after a virtual meeting between member countries and following the visit of U.S. President Joe Biden to Saudi Arabia, where he called for an increase in production as a measure to curb the rise in fuel prices, one of the main variables responsible for the escalating inflation. Western powers blame Russia for the energy crisis, while Moscow emphasizes that the current state of affairs derives from the refusal of the Russian proposal to sign guarantees of peaceful coexistence and the subsequent sanction packages against Russia's energy industry. OPEC Plus stated Wednesday that it no longer has additional capacity to add more crude oil to the current supply. The largest offshore oil production platform in Asia, the Chinese Enping 15/1, completed its offshore installation in the basin of Zhuhai River mouth on Tuesday. The event shows that the design, construction, and installation capacity of China's super-large offshore oil and gas production facility has reached the world's advanced level. In the future, the peak daily oil output of this platform will reach nearly 5,000 tons, which will further improve China's energy capacity. The total height of Enping 15/1 central platform is about 160 meters, with a total weight of more than 30,000 tons. The steel that have been used could make a medium-sized aircraft carrier. The single-deck area is equivalent to 10 basketball courts, and it is currently the heaviest offshore oil production platform with the most equipment in Asia. The Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, arrived Wednesday in South Korea in the midst of rising tensions with China over her visit to Taiwan, with an eye on her trip to Japan, which will end her tour of Asia. An advisor to South Korean President John Suk-yeol welcomed the Speaker of the House of Representatives, who will not be received by the head of state, who is on vacation. Pelosi is scheduled to meet on Thursday with her South Korean counterpart, National Assembly Speaker Kim Jin-pyo. The two will discuss various security issues, especially the Indo-Pacific region and North Korea. Pelosi has argued that her Asia tour seeks to reaffirm the United States' enduring and unwavering commitment to its allies and friends in the region. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov accused the United States of showing its impunity with the visit of Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan. The head of Russian diplomacy pointed out at a press conference on Wednesday in Myanmar's capital that Pelosi's visit to the region of China reflects the U.S. desire to show its impunity to all. Lavrov added that the U.S. officials were prompted to promote such provocations, and assured that he had no doubt that this move reflects the same policy implemented regarding the situation in Ukraine. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov pointed out that the tensions in the region sparked by Pelosi's visit to Taiwan cannot be underestimated.
I don't presume to judge what moved them to do it, but the fact is, it reflects the course we're talking about regarding the Ukrainian situation. I don't have any doubt. It's an aspiration to prove to everyone their impunity and show lawlessness. It's my way only, something like this. I see no other reason to create such an annoyance almost out of the blue, knowing very well what it means for the People's Republic of China.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met with his counterpart Wu Nabangrin and other top Myanmar officials shortly after his arrival in the nation's capital on Wednesday.
Your Excellency's visit to Myanmar today clearly demonstrates the vibrant nature of our relationship and partnership. I am extremely delighted to have this opportunity to receive Your Excellency and to convene this bilateral meeting in person in our capital, Naypyidaw.
We have a very solid foundation for building up cooperation in a wide range of areas. We appreciate the traditionally friendly nature of our partnership, which is not affected by any foreign policy opportunistic processes.
The United Nations announced Tuesday that Yemen's internationally recognized government and the Houthi militia have agreed to renew the ongoing nationwide truce for another 2 months. UN Special Envoy for Yemen Hans Grundberg confirmed that the main objective of the current truce continues to be to provide tangible relief to civilians and to create a conducive environment for reaching a peaceful settlement to the conflict. Yemen has been mired in a civil war since late 2014, when the Iran-backed Houthi militia seized control of several northern provinces and forced the Saudi-backed Yemeni government out of the capital Sana'a. The war has killed tens of thousands of people, displaced 4 million, and pushed the poorest Arab country to the brink of starvation. We have come to the end of this news program. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For teleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.